Starting at number 5 of my updated best gaming headsets list. This is the Logitech G Pro X 2. I bought mine for its $250 launch price, but I've tagged it and linked this and every headset below so that you can see their current prices. The Pro X2 has both Lightspeed wireless with the dongle and Bluetooth. Not simultaneous, you swap using this button. It can also be used wired. It works on PS5 and PC, Xbox only if it's 3.5mm. It's listed as having 50-hour battery life, but I do find that to be an overestimation. This has graphene drivers which provide impressive detail, but it does not get too extreme in the treble and keeps the bass tightly in check. If you're primarily an FPS player, you might like it more than the Astro series because of the weaker lows out the box. However, this does come with a PC app where you can change the EQ and make your own. With the latest firmware update, you can even save a single custom EQ to the headset itself.
The microphone is definitely the biggest weakness of the Logitech G Pro X2. It's detachable, so that's not particularly useful if you're going to be taking it outside because you got to bring the mic with it. But more importantly, the audio quality, you can hear it. It's both nasally and muffled at the same time. Now, you can make some adjustments in the Logitech G Hub software, but the problem is really the microphone itself, not the post-processing. I will say it does an excellent job of rejecting background noise. It sounds like there's a noise gate built into here, even if you're not using the Blue Voice software, which is in G Hub.
I give this a B+ in comfort. It comes with both pleather and velour ear pads. It's mostly plastic, but it has aluminum adjustment forks, similar to the HyperX Cloud II. The only gripe I have is at 350 grams, you will feel this over time. Speaking of, while it didn't quite make the list, I'd have to put it at number 6. If you want the most comfortable headset on the market, I highly recommend the HyperX Cloud III, and is generally much cheaper than all of these. I've even seen this as low as $70 during big sales. Number 4 is the AceZone A-Spire. This costs $369 at launch, but I implore you, do not buy it for that much. I've seen this for literally $100 off. I even got mine for $288, so look out for sales. I have the 2.4 GHz wireless version, which can also be used 3.5mm, USB-C, and Bluetooth. Again, no simultaneous Bluetooth audio. However, when used 2.4 GHz, you can swap EQs on the fly with your phone in the app. And the EQ even works 3.5mm. This headset works on PC and PS5 in its entirety, but Xbox only 3.5mm. The battery life is stated to be 35 hours, and that seems about right, but the actual battery meter fluctuates too wildly for me to really accurately gauge it. The sound signature is very treble and upper mid-range focused. Bass and sub-bass are pretty much left in the dust in the name of clarity, but it does help footsteps to stand out. It even has active noise cancellation, which in my case did increase the bass just a bit.
The microphone on this headset is decent as well. There's clearly a noise gate, and the overall filtering of background ambience is well done. It's not as well done as AceZone claims, and the tonality does still need some work, but it is passable.
At 288 grams, it's not exactly light, but more so than most wireless gaming headsets these days. That, when combined with the pleather ear cushions and memory foam, make these very comfortable even over long periods of time. Now you might also be wondering why I did not include the EPOS H6 Pro and PC38X to this list. They're still excellent headsets, especially the PC38X, but EPOS shut down their headsets division, so get them while you can, but I don't know how long they'll be available. Anyway, number 3 is the Audeze Maxwell. This was at the top of last year's list. I bought this for $330 at launch, specifically the Xbox version because that also works on PC and PS5. It also has built-in EQ. You can make your own and save 4 different custom EQ profiles to this device. This has wireless with the dongle and Bluetooth, not simultaneous, and even USB-C. This has a stated 80-hour battery life. I can't really confirm that because that's such a high number that you might not get to over 2 or even 3 weeks, depending on your use case. I'm just gonna have to take their word for it. Headphone audio quality is the reason to get the Maxwell. The level of detail and sound separation is outstanding. The planar magnetic drivers have a very fast transient response, which ultimately means many different audio cues can be heard without loud bass frequencies masking them. It definitely doesn't sound natural, especially the mid-range, which is kind of shouty, and the treble is sharp, but overall, it's tuned perfectly for FPS.
The microphone, it's passable, but not great. But there's something really interesting about this. If I turn this on, this is the noise suppression. When I do that and I do a little bit of keyboard typing, not only is it going to block out some of that, but it's going to level out my voice. And you can even turn it to the noise suppression high, which is if you're going to be in a really chaotic environment, the noise gate is going to be super strong. Additionally, you can actually take this microphone out. Let me turn the noise suppression off. And there are integrated mics right in this headset, and they do a pretty decent job of picking up the audio, even though they're not going to be well placed. And this is with the noise suppression low while I'm using the integrated microphones.
The biggest weakness with the Maxwell is the build. It's obnoxiously heavy. With the mic, mine weighs 510 grams. Now it's definitely sturdy, especially after an early revision, and it's using spring steel to help with that durability. And it has pleather ear pads, so on paper everything looks good. It's just, do not underestimate the weight. It's really heavy. Number 2 is the Beyerdynamic MMX 330 Pro. Unless you specifically need wireless, this is my current top recommendation for FPS games. It uses a 3.5mm connection, making it compatible with PS5, Xbox, and PC, and you don't even need an amp since it has a modest impedance of 48 ohms. This has the widest soundstage of any headset I've used, including the PC38X, which is also open back. The MMX 330 Pro definitely emphasizes treble, but the mid-range isn't exaggerated, and the bass, while constrained, gets incredibly deep. While I find the soundstage to be more fun in open single-player games, this type of sound is what makes Beyerdynamic so popular for FPS players when trying to pinpoint footstep positioning even in chaotic environments. This also performs admirably with EQ and is capable of deep, satisfying bass with enough tuning, but it never hits super hard in the low end, particularly due to the open back design. That said, there is a closed back model, the MMX 300.
The microphone's overall sound is nice, but it does have a few weaknesses. First of all, since it's 3.5mm, you're probably going to have to boost the volume if you're on PC. If I speak into it without a volume boost, it's really low. Actually, I see it hitting about -30 dB. Additionally, even with the foam cap, it's pretty bad with plosives, P sounds and B sounds, so you might need to move this a little bit farther away from your mouth, but if you do that, it's going to be even quieter. The good news is the overall clarity and background noise rejection is pretty good. If I go ahead and do some keyboard typing, you don't really hear that too much, even though this is a condenser microphone like most gaming headset mics.
For 316 grams, for mine at least, this can be a bit much over time, notice the trend, but the actual material is incredibly comfortable. There's a combination of plastic and metal with the adjustment forks, and the velour pads are the best implementation of the material that I've used. If it wasn't for the weight, I'd easily give these an A in comfort, so B+. Number 1 on my top 5 gaming headsets list is the Astro A50 X. Now I know not everyone is going to agree with this, but there are 3 things that make this easily the number 1 pick on this list. First, it has the best overall feature set of these headsets. Secondly, it has my favorite headphone audio quality. If you know me, you know I really love bass, and this has way more bass than all the other headsets. I'm about to talk about that in a bit. It also has the best microphone of all 5 of these headsets by far. Now there are currently 2 versions of this headset. Both work on PC, Xbox, and PS5. There's the Astro A50 X and Astro A50 Gen 5. These are basically the exact same headset, except the A50 X has both USB-C and HDMI connectivity, letting it work as an HDMI switcher and enabling game chat mixing on PS5. The A50 Gen 5 only connects through USB-C, so no switcher and no game voice mixing on PS5, but the game chat mix does work on Xbox and PC. If those features aren't that important to you, save yourself some money because the A50 Gen 5 is $300 at the time of this recording, and the A50 X is $380, which is what I bought mine for. Anyway, the A50 X, let's focus on this. It's wireless with the base station and it has simultaneous Bluetooth. The only catch is the base station needs to be set up for this thing to work at all, so its range will be limited by the base station, so you can't take this out to the kitchen or backyard or anywhere else without the signal just cutting out. This has a stated battery life of 24 hours, but it doesn't really matter since when you put it down, you're always going to be putting it on the base station to charge it. The headphone audio quality of this is very different than the rest of this top 5. Even though it's using graphene drivers like the Logitech G Pro X2, since Logitech owns Astro, the A50 X is much darker in sound. It easily has the most quantity in the bass of all these headsets, but the detail is still impressive. It's not muffled, and it's way more controlled than the A50 Gen 4. In Halo, for example, you can hear footsteps and nades during a gunfight, but you'll also hear the wind noise, the deep explosions, the hum of the machinery in Recharge. Ambient sounds that are not emphasized in the rest of these really make the A50X much more immersive. And if you don't like the default EQ, you can change it in the desktop or phone app, and the EQ will work on any system. And here's a demonstration of just how good this microphone is. It's really night and day when compared to the other 3 headsets. As I do some keyboard typing, the background noise rejection is decent. That said, this is the default sound. If you want, you can also use an equalizer on it. I like this one. This is nasal removal. You get a 10-band EQ with this in the Logitech G Hub software, and this sounds even better. So best microphone that can get even better. There's pros and cons to the comfort and build. Mostly plastic with a tiny bit of metal on the adjustment hinge. The velour is nice, but not as nice as the MMX 330 Pro, and I hope to see another pleather mod kit option in the future. This is also pretty chunky at 363 grams, so be in comfort. Overall, the A50X is the best gaming headset that I've used.